Hi, Dime Divas and Dime Daddies. This is Rachel the Dime Diva, and I am back for another episode of Hoops, Helmets, and Heels. So, over the summer, and as we've been starting off the fall, the topic of WAGs has been having a major renaissance. So, I wanted to talk to you all today about WAGs. And if you don't know what WAGs are, they are the wives and or girlfriends of professional athletes. In particular, today we'll be talking about NBA and NFL WAGs. So they've been particularly in the news lately because a lot of A-list celebrities have started dating professional athletes. So, for example, rapper Cash Doll is currently dating Zadarius Smith of the Philadelphia Eagles. Cardi B is currently pregnant by Stephon Diggs, who is a football player on the New England Patriots. And Meg the Stallion, a rapper, is currently dating Klay Thompson. I believe he plays for the Dallas Mavericks. I'm not sure. I remember him from the days on the Golden State Warriors when he was part of the Splash Brothers with Steph Curry. So today we're not going to be talking about any of those celebrity WAGs because for me, a true WAG is someone who became famous because of her spouse, right? So people that were basically plucked from obscurity and put into the limelight because they are connected to a professional athlete. And the reason that those type of WAGs are so fascinating to me is because I was an aspiring WAG growing up. As a huge sports fan, I always envisioned myself getting married to an NBA player, and that way, gaining access to wealth, gaining access to notoriety, a soft life, and all of the trappings of the things that I saw from people who were married to or dating NBA players. One of my favorite movies in my teen years was Just Right, a movie with Queen Latifah and Paula Patton, where Paula Patton played a WAG. Common was the NBA player, and Queen Latifah ended up getting, spoiler alert, Queen Latifah ended up getting married to Common in the end. I also loved Love and Basketball when I was in like junior high and high school, where the couple met as kids and ended up going the distance and becoming, spoiler alert, a married couple. And she was a WNBA player. He was retired from the NBA by the end. So that just kind of gives you background on my passion for knowing about, following. I'm just almost like a wagologist. Like I know a lot about the wives and girlfriends of players. I find it absolutely fascinating. And I want to use a couple of these ladies as almost like a social study of the way that people perceive women who are beautiful, successful, and wealthy, particularly when that wealth and status comes from a man, in this case, a pro athlete. So today we'll be breaking down headlines that pertain to 4 different WAGs, and they're related to 3 different players. So in particular, we will be discussing Ayesha Curry, who is the wife to NBA superstar, future Hall of Famer, MVP, champion, Steph Curry, who we know from some of my previous videos. I think my first ever video, I said that I was actually plotting on Steph when I was in college. I was going to try to go out to Davidson and secure him as a husband. Mind you, he was already taken at the time. As a girl's girl, I don't play that, so it was never meant to be regardless. But so we'll talk about Ayesha first. Second, we will talk about Jilly Anais. She is married to NFL quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson. So she's actually Jilly Anais Watson now. And then we will also chat, finally, about Brittany Renner and Alisah Chanel. These are the two baby mothers. One is the former girlfriend, one is the current wife of PJ Washington. PJ Washington is an NBA player. He's currently on the Dallas Mavericks. So basically, as I go through this tea about all four of these ladies, I also want us to consider the societal pressures on women and the sports fandom and how WAGs are treated. And also the type of women that get into the WAG lifestyle because of the various downsides of marrying or dating a professional athlete. Mind you, this is a huge reason why I thank God that I never was able to secure a player that I was looking for, because I had no idea the huge downsides that came along with the wife and girlfriend lifestyle. So let's jump in. First, we will chat about our girl, Ayesha Curry. I'm a huge Ayesha Curry fan. I think that she's honest. I think that she's vulnerable. I think that she's a great mom. But she's had some controversy over the past few weeks. She did an interview with the podcast called Call Her Daddy about 2 months ago. And for some reason, within the past few weeks, clips of her interview have been going viral. I went ahead and viewed the entire interview so that I could speak on it intelligently and not just go for the clip farming that people do to try to find the most controversial or over-the-top clips to spark debate. So the clip circulating that Ayesha spoke on Steph and caused controversy included her stating that she never wanted to be married. She never wanted to be a mom. She wasn't really focused on that. And her family growing up wasn't really into sports. And so she didn't understand what she was signing up for as a WAG. And she was also she didn't really see the trade-off in terms of being able to be married to like a world famous basketball player, because she didn't grow up in a family that was really focused on sports. She was more focused on arts, and she was more focused on her acting career. So my thoughts on this controversy. Number one, anyone who watches the entire interview will understand that Ayesha showed a lot of love and affection for her husband and her children. She spoke glowingly of Steph. She spoke really highly of their life together, and it's clear that she really loves him and she loves her children. Number two, anyone who's ever been in a marriage as a wife and or the primary caretaker of the children in a marriage will understand what she's talking about in terms of being having your identity erased a little bit, especially when those children are young. And for her, she had 4 children in pretty quick succession, and they range in the ages between, I believe, 13 and like 2 or 3. So she's been having children for a long time, and she's had a young child for the past decade and a half, pretty much. And having a young child is a completely different experience than having, a preschool age or school age child. My child is in kindergarten, so I don't really know anything beyond that. But I can say that when you have a child that's not potty trained yet, the child that's under the age of like 3 or 4, the child that's not even in full-time school during the day, it takes up a lot of your time, energy, and attention. And she's also a single mom most of the year because Steph is playing 82 games every year, half of which are in a different city. So during the season, he's not there. And then, as she spoke on in her interview, he has had so much success in his career as an NBA player. He's not just playing the 82 game season. He's typically starting a completely second season in April with the NBA playoffs that goes all the way until the end of June if he's making it to the finals, which he has multiple times in his career. So, saying all that to say, her complaints about the marriage had nothing to do with Steph. It was truly just more about her venting on life as a solo parent and as a mom. And it doesn't matter how much money you have, children don't raise themselves, right? So it's a lot of mental, emotional, and physical effort that goes into raising a child. Part of the reason that I only chose to have one, okay? Because I wanted to be able to have time for me and do what I wanted to do. So Ayesha this is not Ayesha's first controversy, mind you. And I think that's why there was so much backlash about this particular clip, because people had already been side-eyeing her since she went on Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith. And that was several years ago. So on Red Table Talk, again, I also watched this entire interview. It involved Ayesha, Steph's sister, Seidel, and their mom, Steph Curry's mom, who has since divorced Steph Curry's dad. And there was some controversy around that. And I don't know if Seth's wife, Callie, was also part of it. I don't remember. But I do know that all of the ladies spoke to Jada, but Ayesha was singled out for a particular comment that she made that really upset particularly the male fans. In the Jada Pinkett Red Table Talk interview, Ayesha stated that she had low self-esteem, in part because of all of the female attention that Steph gets as an athlete, and the fact that she does not get a lot of male attention because of the respect that men have for Steph, and also the understanding that men have that they're not going to be able to one-up Steph in terms of what they can offer Ayesha, so they're not even going to try to approach. And she said that it made her feel some kind of way because, as a beautiful woman, I'm sure, this is me speaking from my experience, I'm sure coming up, she got a lot of attention and a lot of positive feedback based on being beautiful. So then when she's transitioned to being an NBA wife, it was an expectation that she was beautiful because all these men are married to beautiful women. Then on top of that, you see women coming at your man all the time. And then you also have the expectations placed on you to be this perfect wife and mother. So people were already kind of looking at Ayesha's side eye because of that Red Table Talk interview. So taking into account what she said in both interviews with Call Her Daddy and Red Table Talk, I think that we're missing an element of Ayesha's angst and not understanding the fullness of her as a person. Because she's beautiful, because she's wealthy, because her husband is nice and he's a sweet guy, and by all accounts he's faithful, which is an extreme rarity in the professional athlete world, people think you shouldn't have anything to complain about. And Ayesha has told a story twice now, in the Red Table Talk interview and in the Call Her Daddy interview. So this clearly was a moment that was a core memory for her. She was breastfeeding her first child, Riley, in the backseat of a car when she was out with Steph somewhere in the Bay Area. So she's well known in the Bay Area. He's well known. That's like their pinnacle of fame is in the San Francisco Bay Area. So she said that while she was breastfeeding in the car, a woman who was a Warriors fan yanked the door open, said she wanted to see the baby, completely violated Ayesha's privacy. And when she was called out on this by Ayesha, she said, "Oh, girl, you know what you signed up for." And I think that's something that I want to say as an overarching commentary on these WAG discussions is that when you are a beautiful woman who is privileged in a lot of ways, who's able to live a soft life, who's able to have leisure, luxury, and a lot of things that other folks are not afforded, especially as a Black woman, because Black women are expected to be strong and to engage in struggle all the time. When you have that demographic, you're held to a different standard. You're expected to basically be perfect, because the reasoning of the men and women who come down hard on these ladies is basically, you have everything, so you have nothing to complain about. You don't get to be a human being. You don't get to have the emotions that everyone else has. And for example, you don't get to feel jealous or insecure that your husband has hundreds of women coming at him, maybe even more than hundreds, dime divas and dime daddies, that his DMs are flooded, that he has women waiting in the lobby for him when he's, traveling on the road. You don't get to be insecure about that, because you know what you signed up for. You don't get to show emotions about being heckled, which I've seen Ayesha in playoff games. At one point, I believe she was pregnant with Cannon, and she was at a playoff game in Houston. I believe it was either Houston or Phoenix, but she was booed and heckled in such a manner that was just so inappropriate. And Bradley Beal's wife has also spoken on this, the fact that their family has been harassed and heckled at games, and it's expected for her to just take it because you're getting the benefit of your husband making millions of dollars a year. So yes, these WAGs are held to a superhuman standard in terms of how they look, how they present themselves, how they interact with their husbands, and how they interact with their children. And I just think it's incredibly unfair. We spoke about Savannah James in a previous episode, and Kevin Gates coming in and critiquing her for not being as expressive as he wanted her to be about her love and adoration for LeBron. Not taking into account, this woman has to be the backbone of an entire empire. LeBron is out there playing sports, making appearances, taking care of his body. Who do you think was holding down those kids as they were making their way through school, and her oldest now being an NBA player? Who do you think was keeping up the household? Who was making it so that he didn't have to worry about anything so that he could go and win championships? It was Savannah. But people don't give her credit for everything that she's put in, because it's expected. You live this soft life. You're gorgeous. You have designer bags. You get to go on lavish vacations. Your husband loves you and treats you well. Yeah, but she's still human, and life is still hard for all of us, right? No matter how privileged you are, life is hard for everybody. She still gets sick, right? All these ladies that I'm talking about, they still get sick. They still have to have sleepless nights with newborns. They still get anxiety. They still get affected by online trolls. They're real people. And the grace that's given to them is almost non-existent. I think that's all I have to say on Ayesha. I wish her the best. I'm glad. I just saw an IG post from her. Just living life, right? With her kids and with Steph, and showing like, I'm good. She'll be fine. And truly, something about this experience that I can say is that it's helping her to detach from other people's opinions of her. And I can speak that from my own personal experience, because I'm also a person who has a lot of projections put on me, and people have really high expectations of me because of how I present myself and how I show up in this world. And so every time that I get those projections and negative vibes sent towards me, it only allows me to be more free and to not care what people think, because no matter how nice you try to be and how pleasant you try to come off and how gracious you attempt to show up in this world, there's going to be somebody who's not happy with it. And we just have to be at peace with that. And the larger your audience is, the more opportunities you have for people to feel that way about you. Okay, so let's talk about another wag who's in kind of a no-win situation as well. And this is Jilly Anais Watson. So Jilly has had an interesting path in the spotlight. This girl is a survivor. She broke into the entertainment industry as like an influencer, as a online personality. She appeared on the scene, I think in the most major way, like on a national scale, maybe in 2017, when she had dealings with DDG. And DDG is a streamer who is the baby father of Halle Bailey, who played the Little Mermaid. Excuse me. So DDG is notoriously problematic and remains to be problematic to this day. And they had a controversial interaction where DDG popped up on her live streaming, and he had gotten her location from her IG story. So that was a violation. That was very creepy and weird of DDG, but a lot of people heard about Jilly through that. And then the next year, I believe in 2018, she began dating DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray is another NBA player. I'm not sure what team he's on right now, but DeJounte has a taste for and a liking for IG models and girls with some type of emotion on their own. He's currently married to NBA YoungBoy's baby mom, Jania. Okay, Jania Michelle is currently married to DeJounte Murray. So obviously DeJounte and Jilly broke up, I believe in 2019. And then Jilly went on to begin a relationship with her current husband, Deshaun Watson. Okay, so she's had her fair share of problematic men. Jilly was also part of a talent showcase. She's a singer as well as a Instagram influencer. She does cooking videos and stuff like that. Jilly was part of a talent showcase involving Nick Cannon. So she has been around her fair share of problematic men. And I think that this is showing me her pattern, and the men that she's been around is showing me that she's a survivor. She's learned how to navigate as a beautiful woman in this industry of entertainment, to navigate the creepers, and the guys that are not that great. And so Jilly is getting hit from all sides lately. In July, Jilly married Deshaun Watson. And recently, I think it was a couple days ago, they posted their professional photos from the wedding. Anybody who has been married and gotten professional photos knows that it can take like 2 or 3 months for your photos to come back from being processed and edited and everything from the photographer and the videographer. So they have these gorgeous wedding photos that just came out, but it has restarted discourse about the couple in the public eye. Now, Jilly has been getting it from both sides. It's a tough, I'm telling you, being a wag is a tough journey. She's been getting it from the women's side. Women are completely downing her and hating on her because she's married to somebody who has sexual assault allegations. Deshaun Watson was suspended from the NFL a few years ago and settled lawsuits with over 20 massage therapists who accused him of sexual assault. And Jilly was in a relationship with him at the time that these massages happened and at the time that the cases were settled. So he was cheating on her at minimum, right? And potentially, allegedly, was actually sexually assaulting the women he was quote unquote cheating with. Now, let's be fair for Deshaun Watson's perspective, right? Because these are all civil allegations. None of this is criminal. And his perspective is he went to these massage parlors to get happy ending massages. And these women were willingly giving him a happy ending massage for money, right? He was paying them extra. Mind you, I know plenty of men, some of them married, who get happy ending massages. You know, they get a massage and then they ask, the woman will offer, or some type of signal will be exchanged, and the woman will provide a sexual release for the man after the massage. Okay, so it's possible that all of these women were consenting, and then once the scandal happened, they saw an opportunity to get money. But it's also possible that Deshaun was, you know, potentially pulling out his private parts without the consent of these ladies, and they felt pressured to do some type of activity to his private parts once they were out. So again, I don't know, but I do know for a fact, point blank period, Jilly was getting cheated on. But I want to use Jilly as an example here because she's getting it from both sides, right? The women are hating on her for being with a man who has allegations and was cheating on her. The men are getting on her for being a potential gold digger because their mindset is, why are you staying with this man who's dogging you out? It must be because you want to get his money. As soon as you get this wedding, you're going to jet. Mind you, Jilly's wedding ring itself is worth over $2 million. So we know that no matter what, even if this marriage ends, she's getting out of it with $2 million. Because once the wedding occurs, that ring becomes a gift. That ring becomes a gift that's part of the marriage contract, right? So as an attorney, let me just give you a tiny primer on engagement rings. So an engagement ring is a conditional gift. So from the time of the proposal up until the wedding, if the engagement gets called off, legally the woman is required to return the ring. A lot of times they don't. A lot of times the man doesn't push it, but legally that ring belongs to him. Once the wedding vows are exchanged, that becomes a gift that is, the condition has been fulfilled. So at minimum, this woman is walking away from the marriage with $2 million. And I'm not saying that she's going to walk away. But that's what the men are saying is like, oh my gosh, she's just in it for the millions. She's been with him for about 6 years. You know, she hasn't really proved her loyalty that she's worthy of you marrying her, particularly because he has a contract for hundreds of millions of dollars. But let me just say this regarding Jilly. I think she's an example that there is no winning as a wag, right? People are going to have something negative to say if you stay with the man, and people are going to have something negative to say if you leave. You really just have to follow your heart. And I think with Jilly, what people don't understand about her as somebody who has been following her for years, I don't actually follow her on social media. Maybe I should on my Dime Diva page, but one thing that I don't really like about her social media is that she scrubs comments, and she doesn't, her social media comes off very manufactured and soulless. But I think I'm going to give her grace. I think it's because no matter what she posts, people are going to have something to say negative. And so I think it's affecting her and making it so that she's like, it's closed off. I don't want to hear, no matter what I post, if she didn't have comments restricted, if she didn't have it picture perfect, the only thing people are going to put underneath the post is your dude is a cheater or you're a gold digger. So it's almost like no winning there for her. But what I will say about Jilly is that this is a woman who's trying to survive in a patriarchy, right? She's a beautiful woman who has a certain standard of life that she wants for herself. And she saw an opportunity to get that through engaging with men with resources, right? I'm sure has seen her share of grimy and no good men who don't even have any resources. She's in the music industry. And so I've heard from many women who are in that industry who speak out, that a lot of the times, even like a low level producer will want you to give up some type of sexual favor just for a beat. Okay. So being somebody who was in the music industry, who's in entertainment, I think she really just realized, like, I can try to get there through my talent, and I'm still going to have to deal with these grimy men who are gatekeeping. Or I can choose to partner with men with resources, and they can fund my passions, and then I can still thrive and, show the world my talents and my gifts via this platform. So she's not a woman who's just sitting at home doing nothing. She's out there. She's currently like in a competition to be one of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit models. She is putting out music. She is sharing her talents on social media. So this is clearly an ambitious woman who's trying to operate in a patriarchy. And one of the ways that as women we are able to get a leg up, honestly, is by dealing with men with resources. And I've seen women who have gone both ways when it comes to cheating and men who are not respecting the marriage vow or the relationship. Some say all men are going to cheat anyways. So I might as well find the wealthiest cheater out there, right? And then some women are like, I'm not dealing with these men regardless. I tend to try to be in the middle where I'm like, I'm not going to deal with a cheater just because he's wealthy, and I'm not going to just swear off of men. I'm going to hold men to a standard and trust that the universe is going to bring me somebody who's of integrity. And truly, I don't know what their arrangement was as these happy endings were occurring. She could have been aware that this was going on and authorized it. I don't know. But I do think that Jilly is a great example of that dichotomy that Ayesha Curry is also in, where you're getting arrows from both sides. There's people who don't want you to express any type of negativity about your spouse, a la Ayesha Curry, but then there's people who will literally ridicule you for standing by your man and standing 10 toes down by him and keeping your mouth shut, which Jilly has done for years now. So there's no winning for these ladies. People are hard on them regardless. And again, I think that goes back to expectations. It's expected that if you have privileges in society as a Black woman, if you're able to achieve a soft life, if you're able to not have to worry about finances, if you're able to be perceived universally as beautiful and successful, then people are going to hold you to an impossibly high standard. And that's unfortunate. And I'm wishing Jilly the best on her journey. I just want her to not be afraid to go on the same journey that Ayesha has gone on. And I think that might actually be, facilitated by her having her children, if she chooses to do so. So I think a lot of times when you have those children, it wakes you up and it causes you to think twice and say like, what am I doing? And is this the path that I would want them to go on? Is this the path I even want to be on? So Godspeed to her and best of luck. Excuse me. Finally, PJ Washington's two ladies. And I want to give I want to almost use them. I don't like pitting ladies against each other, but I want to almost provide a contrast. Honestly, now that I think about it, Brittany is more in the Ayesha camp and Alisha Alisah is more in the Jilly camp, and both people are getting criticized. Um, so let's run it from the beginning. Let's run it back. So Brittany Renner. Whew. There's a lot there, girl. There's so much there. She is an Instagram model, a former, I guess, Instagram model, Bundle of Brittany on Instagram. She began dating PJ Washington when he was 19 years old, and she was in her mid to late 20s. And they had a tumultuous relationship. She ended up getting pregnant with PJ's first child, and they broke up after, to my understanding, Brittany found out that PJ was DMing and engaging in dealings with one of Brittany's close friends. She felt that that was disrespectful, and she left the relationship. She currently gets child support from PJ, and they share custody of their young child. I believe the child is under the age of 5. Now, Alisah came in after the split with Brittany was complete. Something I find to be interesting about these men with resources, these wealthy men, right? These NFL and NBA players, no matter how their relationship with their prior partner turns out, there's always going to be a line of women waiting to join into the relationship because of the resources. There's just not that many men out there who have as many resources as these guys, hundreds of millions of dollars at their disposal, especially ones that are looking for women from potentially urban backgrounds, potentially Black women, a lot of the stockbrokers on Wall Street, or the oil sheiks in Saudi Arabia. The idea is that they may not be looking for Black women. Now, they very well might be. We don't know. But I think there's an assumption for these ambitious Black women that their best bet at getting with a mega wealthy man to provide them the lifestyle they're looking for is going to be through dealing with somebody who is in the entertainment industry, either an actor, rapper, whatever, or an athlete. So I think that's one of the reasons that somebody like Jilly would stay in a relationship. Again, I don't know her. I don't know her mindset, but my guess would be some of these women that stay through cheating or through scandals might be of the mindset that I'm not letting somebody else take my spot. Like, the moment that I leave him, there's going to be a line of women around the corner waiting to take my place. So I'm going to be raising these kids by myself. Jilly does not have kids, but I'm thinking of a woman that does. I'm going to be out here alone, and somebody else is going to take my spot. For what? Because if I get with another wealthy man, again, a lot of women assume if I get with another wealthy man, I'm going to have to share him too. So back to these ladies. There was a video, so Alisah and PJ are now married, and they share a child. Both of them have children from previous relationships. So controversy began when a video circulated of Brittany's mother, PJ, and Alisah getting into a verbal altercation during an exchange drop-off with PJ's child, and PJ and Brittany's child. So there was a lot of disrespect shared in that verbal altercation, stemming from a couple of things. Brittany feeling that PJ did not properly spend enough time and energy with their child. Brittany's mom feeling that PJ did not equally compensate Brittany and their child in comparison to Alisah and PJ's child with her. And then Alisah and PJ feeling disrespected and put upon, that they were kind of being accosted at the drop-off situation. There was an unspoken thing that I also think was potentially a source of drama, which I can't be sure because nobody said this in the video, but I'm guessing that there was a sense of disrespect from Brittany and her mom that Alisah was even present at the pickup, because their mindset is, why are you bringing this woman, who's your wife, but why are you bringing this woman to pick up your child? Why can't you just come pick her up? Why can't you just come pick him up? Like, why can't you interact directly with your kid? Because I'm guessing what happens is that PJ takes advantage of the fact, or not takes advantage, he part of the reason that he chose to get married, right, after breaking up with Brittany, part of the reason that he wanted to have a woman in the household is for that womanly touch. So somebody can help with the children. So somebody can, be that soft hand. And I mean, I've seen this in real life with people who are not wealthy professional athletes. I've seen men who have children rush to get married because they want another person to come in and help them with their kids. Because it's like, kids are a lot. Kids are a lot of work. So I think that probably played a part in it as well. So after the altercation, Brittany then went on to file paperwork asking for additional child support. I believe increasing child support from $5,000 to $35,000, which is a huge leap. But my guess is that it's just kind of like a negotiating tactic where you ask for way more than you expect to actually get in hopes that the person will come down to maybe like 20,000. Excuse me, 25,000, 15,000. But I don't know. This is purely speculation. But what I will say about this circumstance is that, again, it's hard for these girls. It's hard for these ladies. Brittany, after leaving PJ Washington, was kind of raked over the coals in the same way that Jilly was for staying. Isn't that wild? It's like she's getting criticized for leaving for the same reasons that Jilly is getting criticized for staying. So for example, people criticize Brittany for leaving because they were like, you groomed him, you did all this to get him while he was still young, and then you up and leave him as soon as you have the baby. So there was women criticizing her for grooming him and scheming and plotting to get him. And then there was men criticizing her for leaving because they're saying you had this check baby, right? You had this baby just to get a check, only to leave. And so again, it's like, well, what if she had stayed after he had, cheated with her best friend or, been DMing with a woman that she's familiar with? The behavior was only going to continue, and then she would have been getting roasted for allowing herself to get disrespected. So it's like, what did you want her to do? And then Alisah was getting roasted and hated on for engaging with Brittany and her mom in a disrespectful manner. But my mindset is, we don't understand and comprehend the kind of stuff that Alisah is going through as a WAG, okay? Especially with a non-faithful player. And the reason I say non-faithful, I don't have any proof that PJ is currently cheating, but I know based on those allegations that he allegedly cheated in the past. Men that cheat. That's just my opinion, right? I don't have any proof, but in my opinion, men that are cheaters. Okay? So when you're a woman who is married to or dating a NBA player who is a cheater, those DMs are a disaster zone. Okay? Those DMs are scary hours. There's women who want what you have and they justify and make themselves feel better by trying to get with that man, right? So they may not even think that the man is going to leave you, but they are filled with a sense of pride of knowing that they could sleep with the same man that you slept with. Or they may be plotting to try to take your spot, right? They may be trying to get they might be trying to get tricked on in some way. They may be trying to get a rise out of you. They may be trying to get you to leave him so that they will have an opportunity to slide in. And so in that scenario, I just know my guess is that Alisah's DMs are gross in terms of like having ladies slide in there with, oh, I was with PJ on this night, here's photos, here's videos. Then you have not just the people who are cheating with him, but busybodies, right? Looky-loos, people who are wanting to just start drama and strife. And they will send information and details on your man, right? So it's not a fun experience for her overall, and so she's already on edge. I can tell you that her behavior after the video came out demonstrates to me that what I'm saying is true. Again, this is all speculation on my part, but she did do a post on her Instagram where she was like, well, since everybody is counting my pockets and everybody is talking about how much money we make and we don't give any to the baby and blah, 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 let me just show you guys a day in my life and show you how privileged I am. So she was like going to show all of her bags, going to show her home, how soft her life is, how beautiful her life is. When somebody is doing all that, they're trying to prove a point. And not just to the people who are hating on them and who are challenging their relationship. They're trying to prove a point to themselves. She's almost like rehearsing in her mind, this is why staying in the relationship is worth it for me. And look, I'm not at all hating. It very well might be worth it for her. Like, I don't know what she's coming from, and I don't know what her goal is here. And so it very well may be possible that she is having this be worth it for her. But I will say that it demonstrates to me that she's paying a price for the life that she's leading. And I think that's really just my overarching goal in this video. Obviously, first is to share with you guys the news on what's going on and my take on it, but also to just spread awareness that, like, guys, these women who are married to your favorite athletes and who are, the mother to their children, it may seem like they're living this lucky, blessed, perfect life. Nobody's life is perfect. Everybody's life has downsides. Everybody goes through hardships. And so I hope to potentially just spread awareness and allow people to help to give these ladies some grace. Just because they're beautiful, privileged, wealthy, and put up, it doesn't mean that they can be held to a standard of perfection. They're human beings. So let's give them some grace. I hope that you enjoyed my WAG tea breakdown, and I will catch you all in the next episode of Hoops, Elements, and Heels. Bye.